I have an example of a woman. She is a member. She has grown a 7-figure business in the recruiting space as a woman CEO. It's not often done. Been in business for 5 years. She wanted to post about it, and we were talking, and she says, "I'm very nervous about it. I think it'll come off as braggy." I said, "Well, tell me, let's examine what you want to post. Have you been in business for 5 years?" "Yes." I said, "That's a fact." She says, "Yes." I said, "Are you a 7-figure business?" She says, "Yes." I said, "Are you a woman?" "Yes." "Are you a CEO?" "Yes." I said, "So basically you have 4 facts. There's nothing bragging about facts." So I literally had to convince her to post this.
Yeah.
And then I had to hold her accountable to send me back the post when it was live, so that I ensured that she did it, because she was so reticent about doing it. But it's like, those are the examples, like when we don't share our wins like that, like wouldn't have set an example for another woman who wants to do that.
Did you know that despite making up 50% of sellers, women hold just 30% of the sales leadership roles? It's not a pipeline problem. That's a promotion problem. Welcome to the Women in Sales Leadership podcast, where we make the new rules of success for high-performing women in sales. And I'm your host, Amy Evans, sales leader turned executive coach. After 25 years in the trenches at Salesforce, ADP, and startups, I now help ambitious sales managers step into second-line leadership roles. If you are ready to lead with authority, earn what you're worth, and make a bigger impact, you are in the right place. Click follow so the next episode will be waiting for you. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Women in Sales Leadership podcast. I am so glad you're here. One of the things I hear from women all the time is, "Amy, I barely have time to hang out with my friends, let alone network outside of my company." And I get it. I totally get it. I've been there too. When your calendar is totally slammed, you've spent your weekend back-to-backs, and it feels like an impossible heavy lift to add anything extra to your list, which is why I am so fired up and excited to have today's conversation. My guest today is Leslie Greenwood. And Leslie, say hey, Leslie. She's waving. She's waving for my audio, folks. We're going to be on video too. So if you haven't found this show on YouTube, start looking for it. It's there. All right, just a YouTube plug. Leslie, back to the main topic. My guest is Leslie Greenwood, and Leslie is the founder of Wednesday Women and the founder of Chief Evangelist Consulting. We're going to learn all about these things in a second. Leslie has built powerful communities like Pavilion and now Wednesday Women, which exist to showcase women who are not showing up in like this polished, makeup on, looking perfect kind of way, but in an authentic, real self kind of way. She believes community is not a tactic. It is a force, which made me think of like the Force, like the Star Wars Force. So, and I think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's true. Leslie, let's start right there. For women who are already maxed out in their leadership roles, why does community still matter?
Well, I think there's two. I'm going to make one differentiation, because at the beginning you said, you're so busy, you have so much to do, and you just can't handle any more networking. I can't handle any more networking. I don't like networking. When you think of networking, because for those that are on video, networking seems very buttoned up, and I'm going to hand you my business card, and that's work. But being part of a community, now granted, it is still work. You have to put effort into it to build relationships and things. But once you build relationships, it's not work. These are Amy and I met through community. We had a great talk. That didn't feel like work. Were we building our relationship? Yes. Someday will we do referral business with each other? Possibly so. But if we don't take the time to build those relationships and get to know each other, we won't even have that opportunity.
Yeah.
If I no longer have Wednesday Women and I haven't built these really great, solid relationships with people through networking or communitying, which I like to call it instead,
it's a verb.
Then it's going to be really hard for me to find a job in today's market. And so there's a want, because we all have a want for it. Mm-hmm. And then there's the need, which is the next time the rug is pulled out from underneath you, whether you pull it yourself or someone else does, if you don't have a good network or community around you, you are significantly disadvantaged.
Oh
Sorry, I start off with scary stuff instead of fun
I
stuff.
love it. No. I mean, that's, look, that's on everybody's mind. The fear is palpable for me, right now inside companies, because what I do is I coach executive leaders, sales leaders on moving up into their next role. And there's a lot of that happening. Like there is growth happening, and there are opportunities to move up, but there's also this just nascent fear right now in general with the economy. What's going to happen next? Am I going to be laid off? Is AI going to take my job? Is the CEO going to wake up tomorrow and eliminate me? Right? That stuff's just really there for everybody. And there's really nothing for it you can do except what you can do, which is take action, right? We can't control what CEOs are going to wake up and do. I hear you. Yeah. So let's talk about it, like communitying as a verb. What is that? And how do you do it to have it be impactful?
Impactful. Yeah. And, I think it's the way you approach it. Like what's your intention? So I love that you asked me to set my intention before our thing, but like you set your intention before you go somewhere to community or to network. Yeah. Do you have, some people are going to go to a conference with set goals and KPIs. There are multiple ways to accomplish those. The way I accomplish that is through asking questions, through just meeting people who they are, understanding them as the human, and then letting the conversation flow. Eventually, they'll ask you, what do you do? And you will say, well, this is what I do. And this is the kind of product I work on. This is why I'm excited about it. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. I might have interest in that, or something like that. You know what I mean? But you can't, the approach has to be, in my opinion, light and friendly and authentic, which is such a bastardized word. Sorry if I'm cussing on your show.
You can cuss away. We tell it like it is here.
Everybody's authentic now. Like everybody's vulnerable and everybody's authentic, but they're not. There's like the AI wrote that they're authentic. But it's like you can feel it. When you meet someone, you feel it. And so it's like being able to approach someone with curiosity and almost like a pre-friend. And then you kind of go deeper, and then you get into the business stuff, and then you get into the networking part of it. But that networking part at that point feels much more comfortable because you've kind of already wrapped it around with this maybe soft layer of communitying.
Okay, you said a lot there. Do you feel like we've forgotten how to really create a friendly type of relationship with another human being? And can you talk about that?
Yes, I think there are times. I think that I don't run into that as much. I did actually recently. Someone came straight in and it wasn't a pitch slap, but it was definitely a pitch.
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a really long time because I think I put off the vibe that I expect us to talk about other things. I'm going to notice something in your background or something, and I'm going to know whether you have kids by the end of the conversation, or what your sport is or whatever. But I think some people just really don't have the skills. People that are more introverted, maybe people that have more technical mindset. But it's, again, if you think about having like a group of questions, what are your 3 questions that you might start off with when communicating or networking or going to an event to kind of open up the conversation in a way that you want to take it, rather than with the oh, hey, what do you do? Or, what brings you here, or whatever that is. Yeah. So just kind of having a little arsenal for yourself. So as your cheat sheet, if you're not actually good at it.
Look, so I don't like labels, but I'm just going to be honest. I know where I get my energy, and I do have to recharge, kind of go inward and recharge. Like I can give big presentations. I can host a podcast. I can be in big networking events, but I come out of those things and I'm totally sapped and I have to like curl up in a little ball on the floor and like recover. So I'll be the first to acknowledge it. Like it takes so much digging into the well for me to come into bigger groups, one-on-one, all day, every day. Love it. But when you think about like walking into these rooms, and we're going to talk about how you get in the room in a minute, but how you walk into these rooms, and what are those 3 questions that you think folks could consider having in their back pocket to really launch into a meaningful conversation and connection?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing is like just a couple quick tips is like you are going to know someone wherever in that room, most likely, at least tangentially. So plan to meet with them. Do it with a buddy. Then you're introducing them to your context. They're introducing you, or if you forget someone's name, like, oh, hey, meet Amy. And they're like, oh, I'm John. I'm like, it was John, or what, because that's sometimes people worry about forgetting their names. But one of the things is like, what are your goals here? What are if I'm going to HubSpot in a couple of weeks. So I'm like, I've never been to HubSpot. I know I'm going to know a lot of people. So I feel very comfortable walking in because I know I'm going to see someone I know and it's going to be fairly easy. But it's like, what are your goals here? Maybe they're a consultant, maybe they're a solutions provider, maybe they're like me and they just want to talk to people. There's a whole different reason they could take it many different places, and it doesn't have to, they're not going to tell you what their KPIs are. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not like, I need to self-read.
I hope not.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Then you might as well just move on because that's not your people. So like, what are your goals in coming to the conference? You could ask them where they're from. What's been the best session you've been to so far? Did you see that neat booth over there?
Right.
It had the stuffed animals or the puppies or whatever. And just like find a common, then you're looking for the thread to pull. They're like, oh my God, I love the puppies. I'm like, yes, I have a dog too. He's bad, but the puppies were really cute. But it's just like, and then just be yourself because people can tell when you're not like the way I just said, yeah, my dog is so bad. And the puppies were so cute. It's like, that's just me. So it's like, if you're trying to be something else, you're trying to portray that you're, this executive CRO person at a big company, just be the guy that likes puppies or be the girl that likes puppies and let that go, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there's a couple tactical tips in there, I think, somewhere.
Well, what I'm hearing you say is, just like be present and natural in the conversation. Don't take some pressure off of feeling like you got to say something so, profound or smart, but not do the usual like boring thing. Like, what do you do? Right.
I don't see anything profound or smart. I'm just curious. I'm curious. I'm going to take verbal cues and I'm going to take physical cues. So like you start looking around while we're talking, it's time for me to excuse myself, move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So you've been doing work with communities for how many years, Leslie?
Almost 6.
6. Okay. And I bet you have some interesting stories or things that you've seen that happened that were just maybe mind-blowing or surprising from connections that people made in those communities. Are there some stories that stand out for you?
Yeah. I'd say one is just anecdotally. I mean, in the community that I worked for at one point for go-to-market leaders, I've seen hundreds of millions of dollars change hands in business without a pitch. It's because trust was built, et cetera. I do have a funny story about that, is that we had a channel that was sponsored. It was sponsored by QuotaPath, if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Graham, who at the time, I don't know what Graham's job was at the time, but Graham was in the channel all the time, answering questions, offering calls. I'm like, he is the perfect member. And we had member of the week then. We voted Graham member of the week. We had no idea that Graham was the sponsor representative of the channel. So like, we're all like, Graham is the member of the week. It's like, oh, damn, Graham is being paid to be there, but you wouldn't know it because that's not how he presented himself.
Yeah.
He presented himself as a helper. And that is a lot of how they built out a lot of their first business. And just seeing him, how he worked the room, we'll say, was just from a mindset of giving and helping. And then guess what? Guess who's the expert in compensation planning? Graham. Guess who good gets tagged in posts that are not in the compensation channel? Graham.
Yeah.
And that's exactly as I left that role and went on to my own, I'm still getting tagged there. It's like, oh, I need to talk to someone about community. Oh, you should talk to Leslie. I mean, wow. I'm still getting tagged. That is how my entire business came. And it's only because I gave and gave and gave my knowledge and time. And I take random LinkedIn calls all the time because you never know. It's like a surprise what you're going to get when you unwrap the call. Most times great. Again, sometimes maybe, they don't know how to network at all. But so those are two of my stories. Like my business was 100% fed for 3 years from community, and just seeing like giving Graham that award was kind of funny in hindsight.
That is funny. That's amazing. What do you, it leads me to Wednesday Women, which I would love you to talk about there, please. Like, it started as this ripple. You shared with me the origin story, and it's grown into something so much bigger now, which is exciting. That's how you and I are connected, of course. Yes. I had someone that I met at an event, and he said, "Are you a part of Wednesday Women?" I said, "Wednesday what?" And then, intros over LinkedIn. And I'm so thrilled about my membership in the organization. I'll confess that right away. And you were a huge part of that decision for me. So let's talk about Wednesday Women, a little bit about how it came to be and what you all are up to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. And who introduced us, by the way? I'm curious.
Oh, now you're going to put me on the spot.
Okay, we can get back to it, but
okay,
totally fine. But that again, that's the same thing. It's probably someone I'm thinking who it might be. It's someone I know who already know, likes, and trusts me, that would put their social capital on the line to recommend that we meet.
I just remembered his name. It's Eric's I think it's Starrett.
Eric's. Yes.
I don't know. I'm mispronouncing his last name.
Oh, he put himself, Wednesday Women is one of his jobs on LinkedIn. I'm like, I did not know that. He just made himself a job. I'm like, okay, great. I don't know what you are. I think he might say he's an ally. But so that is an interesting story. But yeah, we really just started off as a post. I made a post. Who are the women CEOs I should know? I'm come from B2B tech SaaS, and there aren't a lot of women CEOs that you see on stages. Arena and Alina happens to be our largest sponsor right now, which is a really fun story to tell after all of that. And, and that post blew up, and, I had someone put the people's names on a spreadsheet, and I'd see another post and another post, and the spreadsheet got bigger and bigger until I dropped it in Melissa's feed, because I would just drop it around when people ask the question. And she's like, "What are you going to do with this spreadsheet?" I'm like, "I was just making a spreadsheet. I don't know." And she is the queen of making new businesses. We did not know we were making a business at the time. She was going to make the carousel because it was during the height of the carousel craze.
Right. There was a carousel moment on LinkedIn. For those of you who aren't LinkedIn content creators, it had an absolute, time.
Yes, we are still riding that wave ourselves. Yeah, and then I was in charge of posting it on Wednesdays, because we decided if we post on Wednesday, we'll just call ourselves Wednesday Women. And of course, I have ADD, and so me posting at a reasonable time on Wednesday, I would oftentimes forget. So so we just started doing that. We started a business page. We were not a business. we had 0 followers and somehow convinced some of the people that we knew to let us feature them on this business page with no followers on the hopes that they would get more visibility, which is kind of funny. Speaking of sales skills. And then, eventually that just grew, and people really resonated with the mission of more women in LinkedIn feeds, more women on stages, panels, and podcasts, and sharing their authentic voices, and without asking a lot of the women. And, you being as part of the membership, you also hopefully should feel that, because the goal is to give you value without you having to do a lot of work. You don't have to hang out in Slack. You don't have to be in the platform all the time in order to receive value from the community. And that's just like we said, you started the whole conversation with, I don't have time for one more thing. And we know that. And so, we had this BHAG, which is, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a big, hairy, audacious goal. A lot of startups will have one, and it was to have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, which we thought was like nearly impossible.
Right.
And we did that in 1 year and 4 months from becoming a business, which didn't happen until 5 months after we started, because we were just doing a passion project. And, so it's kind of crazy. And, we weren't going to have a membership. We actually have a whole presentation on how to build community without building a community, because we were never going to build a community. But then after the 100th person DM'd us asking us how to join the community, and we said, well, you've DM'd us, so now you're a member, we thought we should listen. And we spent 6 months designing, what an executive woman's experience might look like. And, we're still learning, but our global mission still stays the same. So even if you're not an executive woman, or you're an ally, you're early in your career, follow us on LinkedIn, because our global mission is for everyone. And then the membership is a subset for women that want to go deeper with that.
Hey, quick break for a second. If you are a sales leader who is ready for your next step up, and I'm talking about leading other sales leaders, becoming a director, a VP, even a CRO, then this is for you. I'm hosting a free workshop. You can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. This is for sales leaders who are in tech and are wanting to land jobs where you can earn anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year. And again, you can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. Okay, back to the show. Okay. And I just want to testify that you have made it easy. We're all running businesses, have big jobs. And I feel like I've got somebody watching out for me, which is you, Leslie. In Wednesday Women, you've just made all of these amazing intros and connections, which has made the lift to be involved feel so much lighter. And that's so distinctive, I think, from a lot of other places that people could go. And, look, when Wednesday Women might not be the right fit for every single person listening to this conversation. What I've noticed is the opportunity to get connected with people who are in my world, who get it, who know what it's like to run their own business, who know what it's like to have been a sales leader and not just be that role, but be a woman in that role. Mm-hmm. Right? And the uniqueness of that, all the beauty and the pain and the things that we laugh about when we're together, which make it fun. So I can tell you, you're doing that. You're delivering on the promise of that. And I'm grateful for it. One of the things that you talked about authenticity, and how a minute ago you talked about authenticity and how it feels like everybody's kind of like putting on a fake authenticity. Maybe I'm filling in some words there. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like? What have you noticed cuts through all that crap and gets to like the bottom line of showcasing women as their real selves and not this, here's my polished, vulnerable side. Yeah. What do you have to say to that?
I mean, we had our first event in January of 24. We had somehow found a sponsor who was going to do a dinner, but couldn't come to the dinner because they had no women executives. So I don't know how we convinced them into that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And that dinner, just kind of off the cuff, a lot of people talk about gives and gets and things like that. We decided to flip it. And we started with gets. And what we found from that is
can you explain for everyone listening what you mean when you say gives and gets? Because some might not be familiar.
Okay. Yeah. So like if I think about a relationship, there is a symbiotic nature to them. Like it can't be me all giving and you all taking. So it's like, it's different than taking is different than a get. And so it's like, there's some reciprocity in networking, in being in community together, in just being in life together. And so, a lot of times people talk about give 4 times before you ask, et cetera. We actually flip that to ask the women for their get first. Hi, my name is Leslie. I do generally this. I ask them, I don't really want to hear all about your company. I definitely don't want to hear about your widget. And what is something you need right now that could help unlock you to take you, to where you need to be? And that could be personal or professional. And it is very interesting. And this is why we're having the webinar on Tuesday, which I think you're signed up for. Will probably be over by the time this is. But is that the number of women that want to flip it, their get is actually give. I want more women mentees. That is kind of a get, but it is actually masked. It's a give masked as a get.
Right.
Or I don't know. I'm really good right now. It's just like we're all human. Everyone has a get. Everyone needs something right now. It may be, we've talked about, being the only woman sales leader. We've talked about someone who was pregnant and hadn't told their boss yet and are afraid, wasn't sure whether they wanted to get off the track or stay on the track. We've talked about fundraising. We've talked about freezing eggs. We've talked about puppy training. Like someone's get was like, I have a new puppy and I need someone to help me train this thing, to like, to very specific business challenges. Everybody has something. And, what we found is if we can get them to that space and not say, I'm Leslie, the CRO of XYZ company, where I grew revenue by 10 times within the course of 10 months and blah, blah, blah. And we can strip that. So it's like stripping the mask. You've heard that introduction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've heard, I've heard it multiple times and it's like, but that's not you. Like that's what you do or what you have done. But it is not who you are. And so if I can get them to do that, that completely unlocks them. And then as we go around the room, we have our conversations. At the end, we do gives. And so I can say, oh, Amy, you said you needed help with X. I actually can help you with that. I literally just did that myself. So let's meet next week. And so like that get mentality is just such a nice way to unlock people and to strip that mask. It's actually forcing them. We receive feedback. We ask for feedback after every event. They're not prepared, or some can't speak extemporaneously, and so they need to think about things. So we've changed things up. I put it now in the pre-email. What is a get? What I'm going to be asking for, but they don't read the emails. None of them do. Then I give my example. The sponsor gives their example, and then we have a facilitator at every table, and they give their example. So now I'm giving you 7 examples plus the pre-email that you didn't read to understand what it is that I'm looking for, because that really is the key to unlocking the entire thing on how I can get people to go past that surface level, go past the I'm the CMO of. I'm the, I did X, I exited Y. That is the key. But it takes a lot. It takes modeling, it takes learning, it takes prep. Yeah. And some of them still, I have to correct them. I'm like, nope, sorry, try again.
Right. You know what? It's like I'm hearing you describe that, and I'm trying to envision myself being in that room. And I can already feel like my body, like getting nervous and, like, oh gosh, I have to actually stand up and talk about something that I need and want in front of a bunch of people that I might have met for a minute ago.
Well, you have 40 minutes to network and have
Okay,
a
cool.
or a mocktail if you
Well,
want it.
and that's okay. What I'm gonna get to though is like, Leslie, like you said, that's where the real stuff lives. And it also gets us in this habit, and I know you're having a session for members next week on this topic, which is this habit of being comfortable with asking for support and help, which is something I've had to work on with my own professional coach that I speak to almost every week. And it's that is so eye-opening to me that is the way that you get to the reality of it, because that requires true vulnerability for someone to show up and say, you know what, I don't have this part figured out and I need help with it. And then when people hear you confess that in a group setting, we are just built to support each other.
I mean, honestly, Melissa has to like slap my hand all the time because someone will be going around the room and you're not supposed to give your gifts yet. And I'm like, but I can, but I know the right person. And, it's because we all want to. And that also then creates that bond that like, if you're in the moment, like we'll call a dinner, a community for 3 hours. Now the community doesn't end in 3 hours.
No.
Because you're scheduled to meet with somebody else later who can walk you through it and who actually might have even had the same challenge, so that you're, maybe commiserating with each other as well.
The beauty of this, I mean, and you've taken the burden off of the two people that needed to find each other, off of them, right? In the voicing of the need and the person raising their hand, like now somebody that you were otherwise spinning around the room hoping you might bump into somebody, and would you have found them without confessing what you really needed support with? No. Right? Well, it's brilliant. I'm just saying, I'm blown away by how smart and amazing that is. It just is such a testament to how intentional you all are about creating this opportunity for true connection, and not just some kind of like, hey, we've all got big titles and we've all got big jobs and look at us all in our big titles and big jobs together being big. No, the real growth happens when we acknowledge where we need help being bigger together.
Not everybody. I've never had a coach.
Yeah.
The closest thing I've had is a therapist, but I can just bamboozle her into thinking everything's fine and get off the call early. But you know what I mean? Like, so, there are times that we almost always need support, and we almost always, many of us don't ask for it and don't ask for it directly. And this is the open, extended option, an specific invite to say that. And you could make it big or you could make it small. What we'll oftentimes see is at the beginning, it'll be a light, I'm so excited to meet more people in Atlanta. Speaking of our, dinner in Atlanta that we had, that they're still getting together, which you saw. Someone that didn't share at first, but then later shared, some very personal things that she was going through, because she couldn't get there right then, but she got there later. And the amount of support then she received afterwards was really moving to see that.
Yeah.
And so, I'm very grateful that we somehow came up with that idea, because it really, really works. And, but you have to set the stage. You have to have the mindset. You also have to have some of the right people. You have to have a lot of the right people in the room, because I think there are some people that won't go there with you no matter what. Yeah,
I get that. Yes. It sounds like a true formula that could be followed, whether with care and planning, for sure. I'm just, as I think about like my days in corporate America and how myopic that was, like just blinders on, that is what it's like to be in those big jobs. And, there are opportunities with Wednesday Women, with Pavilion, and even other places that you might find. What I've also noticed is that sometimes inside these big companies, they're large enough that you can have a community there too. And this formula that you just outlined could be workable as something to try in an experiment.
If it were a safe environment.
Right,
That's the challenge.
right. That's the part. Yeah,
Just
that's
talking to someone, my last call was a woman who worked in a 1,500 company, PE backed, but then all of their speakers are board members. And, I talked to these women who are from Microsoft, and all of their networking has been done inside their company. And unfortunately, at times, those networks don't go with you when you go.
I understand. Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
That's why those other ancillary communities, whatever they are, and they don't have to be a community, a virtual community. They could be your extended family. They could be your church. They could be your neighborhood playground with your kids. But I think it's super important to have that somewhere.
Yeah. I gotta say, when I thought about, whether church or playground, gosh, I recall feeling so just like, these people don't get it, which is
true.
Which is why I think you really got to find some peers in order to create value. And otherwise you're swirling around in this world by yourself. Mm-hmm. And there, as you said, friends that might be with you right now while you're with this company, but sometimes friends don't stay with you after you leave. I've been fortunate. I've had a few, but there's also been plenty that, I lost in the divorce, if you will, of like me and the company divorced. And, they stayed with the company, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. We used to talk, all the time. What happened? This is, I think you're right, that the third party, the safe place of, hey, we're all committed to be here together is a different kind of conversation. And when I think about what you've also described, a lot of it's about visibility within your own community and letting yourself be seen in that vulnerable way. And another way is this visibility of also being able to talk about what you do to help others. And what I've noticed is, and this is even challenging for me, and I've been in sales my whole career, like I can sell the hell out of other people's stuff. Self-promoting is hard for me to do. It's hard for me to do, and I do it every day.
Almost every woman that goes out on their own says that.
I mean, I'm so tired of talking about myself, I could puke.
You should never feel like that. Like,
I know, but it's not puke, but there's just times I'm just like, man, wow, this is what I have to do. And what I want to get to is a question, which is for leaders who feel like, they're nervous about promoting themselves and talking about themselves. Like, what do you say to that to help them get more visibility, whether in their company, in their community, in their peer group? What do you say there?
Well, there's the reason why our most important channels are the give and get, really the focus on the get, and the wins channel. And what I say about our wins channel, and I'm going to give you an outside example in just 1 second too, is that if you think you're bragging, it should be there. If you extra think you're bragging, it really should be there. Yeah. Like it's something you're proud of. Put it in there. So I have an example of a woman. She is a member. She has grown a 7-figure business in the recruiting space as a woman CEO. It's not often done. Been in business for 5 years. She wanted to post about it, and we were talking, and she says, "I'm very nervous about it. I think it'll come off as braggy." I said, "Well, tell me, let's examine what you want to post. Have you been in business for 5 years?" "Yes." I said, "That's a fact." She says, "Yes." I said, "Are you a 7-figure business?" She says, "Yes." I said, "Are you a woman?" "Yes." "Are you a CEO?" "Yes." I said, "So basically you have 4 facts. There's nothing bragging about facts." So I literally had to convince her to post this.
Yeah.
And then I had to hold her accountable to send me back the post when it was live, so that I ensured that she did it, because she was so reticent about doing it. But it's like, those are the examples, like when we don't share our wins like that, like she wouldn't have set an example for another woman who wants to do that. Like, it's like, one, it's great for your business because yes, you're going to get a lot of traction on that. You're going to get more eyeballs. It's good for your business. It's good for you. And you should feel proud of that. And that is not bragging. But also, if you don't post, it's a disservice for the next woman who wants to start a business, because she can't see that role model. So like, that's my first thing. I'm like, all right, what you want to post about, is this a fact? Yes. Well, then it's not bragging. It's not it's not oversharing. We've been told, I mean, we actually did a study with Kickstand, an actual like research study with researchers, both men and women, about, how early childhood socialization presents itself later in the business world. What percentage of women over men were told to be seen, not heard? Catch more, like how many men had heard, like I think it was something like,
oh my gosh,
zero men had heard you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Zero. And there were hundreds of men surveyed, and a very decent amount of women had heard that. You know what I mean? So like these things that we battle.
My dad told me that.
Yeah, they're ingrained in our childhood. We were brought up with these words and everything. So like, and that's maybe another thing to think about is like, is my challenge in posting this or sharing this win, is it realistic, or is it something that's been like placed upon me? Like, is my fear realistic, or is this just something that's been socialized that I'm not supposed to do because I'm a woman?
Yeah. Wow. That is so true. That's all I can say.
I'll send you the study afterwards.
Yeah.
It is pretty freaking enlightening.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. So, the only way that I have found to overcome that for myself is just, I'm like, I don't have any other option. I've either got to tell my story, which is true, and nothing to be ashamed of and totally celebrated, or nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know.
Right.
And I'll never forget the first time. I have so much empathy for the CEO that you just spoke about, talking about hitting 7 figures in her business. The first post that I did on LinkedIn about the fact that I had this $1 million job, I mean, I was sweating when I about hit post on that. On that, I was like, I'm about to tell people how much money I made. And it's like, why am I feeling ashamed about that?
And you worked really hard for that.
Right?
It's not like you won the lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, I hear it. And then, I did it once, and then I was just like, what? Okay.
You didn't die.
I did not die. It turns out I am alive and well right now.
Right. You are, because you are not AI right now.
And what I noticed was that when I let that out of the bag, the truth of, a success that I had, people started to reach out to me more because they were thinking, well, if you did it, I won. I'm interested in that. And of course, that's what I'm all about, is helping people get whatever it is. If it's money, great. And money's part of it. It's a nice part of it. But I help leaders get where they want to go. So anyway, the telling the truth on yourself is totally fair and good. And what I truly believe is that a lot of you listening right now have things that you could be celebrating publicly, whether in your Slack channels at work, or even, oh my gosh, dare you post on LinkedIn about a success that you had? What would happen if people knew about, something great that you did, something great that, an account that you sold, or whatever it may be that you want to celebrate?
A new sales tactic that you tried, or a different way you ran your one-on-one that unlocked someone to do better work or whatever. Because really, when you think about it, you also are helping someone.
Of course you are.
When you're doing that.
It's the intention has always got to be helping, I believe, because we're not here to brag about ourselves. We're here to help support others. So,
sometimes it's okay to brag about yourself.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. Good point. You see, again, my bias of not bragging about myself is like showing up. So there we are.
Like it's okay. I mean, and this really depends on how we determine brag. Because I mean, I could hear in your tone, the brag word was a negative connotation.
It is.
So it is. But really, you were just stating a truth about a win that you had.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's distinguish the facts, and then whatever feeling we've been taught to have about those facts.
and dissect that. And
Yeah.
I want to go back to one thing that you said that I would always say in community. Same thing happens on, posting on LinkedIn or sharing your wins, is like, if people don't know who you are, they can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're too afraid to hit the post, or too afraid to hit a comment because, oh, this person's fancy, or to DM them and say, I really loved your post, would you be open to a 15-minute chat sometime? If you don't show up in some way or form, people can't know you. If they don't know you, they can't help you. And so you have to be present. Like, that is the biggest thing. Value will not, like you said, when you first started your business, value will not land on your plate. You have to be out there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I've got one more question for you before we wrap things up, Leslie.
Okay.
And that is, you and I talked before we hit record about energy, like meditation. And I want to not talk about meditation directly, but I want to know what you do to protect your energy while allowing you to still show up and do this work that you do. Because what I see in you is this super connector who's emphatic and passionate about helping and supporting and creating safe places for leaders to learn and grow. What do you do to protect yourself?
I love naps.
Tell me more.
I love naps. I mean, I'm done. Like Melissa knows, we cannot have an appointment. We cannot have a meeting after 3. I am done. I am also an introvert, a very big introvert. I will go, and I love conferencing. Like, the idea, I'm so looking forward to going to Inbound, and I'm hosting 3 brain dates on how to network for introverts. And when I come home, I will be like in my bed for 2 straight days in my pajamas doing nothing. But I also, like, when I left my last job, I'm like, my ideal life profile is that I want to work when I want to work. I may want to work at 3 a.m. This morning I started working at 5 a.m., but I'm going to be done by 2. And, I'm not going to look at it for a while. And you know what? Even if I came back to it later, I'm going to take a nap from 3 to 5. I might do that every day. It is totally fine. And I think part of it is, though, like, I get so much joy out of connecting people. I don't know, like, if I could be a recruiter and didn't have to do the sales part of recruiting, and recruiters just came to me and told me all their special jobs that they have that they can't fill, I got a person for you. I love all that stuff. Now, if they would just pay me something for that, that would be great too. But like, I just get so much personal joy out of it. But I do have to, I will be dead after a big conference, and I will have to hole up for a while.
Oh my gosh. I need to get the notes from this presentation you're about to have.
It's not even a presentation. It is 6 people at a table. We are just going to talk.
Beautiful.
Hopefully they're not so introverted they don't talk, because then we're in trouble.
I got a feeling it'll work out. Leslie Greenwood, what an absolute pleasure it was to be with you in this conversation today. Thank you for bringing all of the good stuff. And I think getting into the things that we oftentimes just don't admit or talk about that need to be more front and center in regard to how do we really, give ourselves permission to ask for help and be vulnerable and let ourselves receive support, as well as give so much in what we do and get access to community. So my challenge to anybody listening today is to ask yourself, what action can you take to start build a community for yourself, whether it's finding an organization like Wednesday Women or Pavilion or some other thing that can work for you. What I know doesn't work is continuing to be alone and not reaching out for community and support. And I would invite anybody listening today to take a step, like one step in that direction. Leslie, what would you say to people who want to reach out to you to find you, learn more about Wednesday Women? Where can they connect with you and do that?
Yeah. You can, like I said, I take lots of random LinkedIn DM calls. And so you can reach me on LinkedIn at just Leslie-Greenwood. You can find more about Wednesday Women at wednesdaywomen.org or follow us on LinkedIn. We post every day, just great uplifting content. And we could certainly use a like or comment from here or there. And if you're an executive, have held a VP title at one point in your life, there is, like you said, there is something that is we've all gone through to get to that point. Is a little bit of a common bond. Happy to talk about membership, but yeah, I agree with you. Take one step to find that place, and your life will. I mean, my life is completely enriched because of the community that I built. Like, I have best friends because of the community that I've participated in. So, I really can't stress enough that people should look up a little bit and expand the horizon a bit.
We're going to leave things there. Thank you so much, Leslie. What a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been so fun.
Hey there. Thank you so much for joining today. I know you're a super generous person, and a gift that you could give to someone you know, a friend, a colleague that you think would enjoy today's episode would be to send them a text, share a link to this episode with them. I do produce this show myself, and every time you share it, it helps the podcast grow and it supports the work that I do here. Also, if you happen to be a sales leader who is ready to take your next step up into a leader of leaders role, whether it's via promotion or you're ready to go and get that new job at a new company, I'm talking about director roles, VP roles, even CRO roles in B2B tech, where you can earn $500,000 to $1 million or more. The workshop I'm giving is an hour-long workshop. It's totally free. You'll learn the process that I teach my clients on how to effectively position themselves, effectively network, and own their executive presence so they can land the job and get hired and promoted into these big sales leadership roles in B2B tech. If this sounds like you, come grab your spot. It's waiting for you at my website, amyevanscoaching.com, where you can unlock what's next for you.